Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have some terrifying Dogman, Reptilian, whatever it is, encounters to share with you. Before we get into today's upload, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch store to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook version, written by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny, is available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. Those links are in the description below as well. Lastly, last night I had a guest. His name was Vault. Couple people apparently didn't like the colorful language he used. Well, we're all adults here, and it's freedom of speech. So, unfortunately, I am not going to tell somebody that they cannot say what they want to say or how they are sharing their experiences. So, I apologize for those of you who felt like you couldn't handle it. But we're adults, and in the world, people curse. So I really have no anything to say except I apologize that you were offended. Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have some terrifying Dogman, Reptilian, what have it, encounters to share with you. Before we get into those encounters, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch store to help the channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook version, written by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny, is available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. The links to those are in the description as well. Lastly, last night I had an upload with a guest who goes by the name of Vault. And apparently some people, a few subscribers, were put off by his use of language. Well, I apologize that you were put off and you feel that it was inappropriate. But I am not going to tell a guest that they cannot share their encounter how they want to share their encounter. We're adults. This isn't a Sunday school. This is a Dogman encounter show or cryptid encounter show. And unfortunately, people curse in the real world. And I apologize once more for you feeling the way you feel. But I'm not going to apologize for having a guest that used the words he wanted to use. I'll apologize for you feeling the way you want to feel, which isn't me apologizing at all. Anyway, now that we've got that straightened out, let's get on with the upload, shall we? Today's first encounter. As many who grew up in largely rural communities know, it is common on the weekends for teenagers to go off into the field and drink cheap beer. I believe I was 17 at the time and was waiting for my friend to get off work so we could ride out to the party together. He picked me up around 7 p.m. It was fall, so it was already dark outside. We headed down the road with thick cottonwoods on both sides of the road. The road was located maybe a quarter of a mile from the river. Hence, it's generally referred to as River Road, since it twists and turns a lot along the river. So we had driven about 5 minutes down the road when we noticed a large truck, possibly a Suburban or a truck with a camper on the bed, was stopped in the middle of the oncoming lane. The driver's side door was left open and the dome light was on inside. Nobody was around. We slowed down, thinking that maybe the guy had a flat or was going to come walking around the back. As we got closer, we saw a medium-sized, hairy creature, probably 4 feet tall. It had wiry, dark, black or grayish-brown colored skin. It was standing on 2 legs. Looking down at its hands as we slowed down, it looked right up at us with its red eyes, opened its mouth and let out this screeching noise. The mouth was very narrow, like a small dog, and it had long fangs on both top and bottom. My friend gunned the engine. We took off, freaking out, yelling, "What the fuck is that?" Throughout the years, I've tried to look for possible explanations. A large, mangy raccoon that was standing on two legs is the closest natural explanation I can think of, but there are still things that bug me about the incident, namely, what the hell happened to the guy driving the truck? Also, I've seen bright yellow eyes glow on deer, but red? I've never seen anything similar. Nobody believed us that night, and nobody still does. I could take a lie detector test today and pass it with no problem, though. Today's second part of the upload. The first reported sighting of a horrific creature made by Christopher Davis, a 17 local who said he encountered a creature while driving home at work at 2 in the morning on June 29th, 1988. According to his account, Davis stopped on the road bordering Scape or Swamp in order to change a tire which had blown out. When he had finished up, he reported having heard a thumping noise from behind him, and having turned around, he saw a creature running toward him. Davis said the creature tried to grab at the car and then jumped on its roof as he tried to escape, clinging onto it as Davis swerved from side to side in an effort to throw it off. After he returned home, Davis's side view mirror was found badly damaged and scratch marks were found on the car's roof, though there was no other physical evidence of his encounter. I looked back and saw something running across the field toward me. It was about 25 yards away. I saw red eyes glowing. I ran into the car, and as I locked it, the thing grabbed the door handle. I could see him from the neck down, the 3 big fingers, long black nails, and green rough skin. It was strong and angry. I looked in my mirror and saw a blur of green running. I could see his toes, and then he jumped on the roof of my car. I thought I heard a grunt, and then I could see his fingers through the front windshield, where they had curled around the roof. I sped up and swerved to shake the creature off. Chris's father, prompted by the story that ran in the newspaper of a strange car mauling, brought his terrified son to the Lee County Sheriff's Office on July 16th of 1988, at which time he told his story to Sheriff Liston Truesdale. In the month that followed the Davis sighting, there were several further reports of a large lizard-like creature and an unusual scratch and bite marks found on cars parked close to the swamp. Most of these are said to have occurred within 3-mile radius of the swamp, Bishopsville. At the time, local law enforcement officials reacted to the reports of the lizard man with a mixture of concern and skepticism, stating that a sufficient number of sightings had been made by apparently reliable people for them to believe that something tangible was being seen, but also that it is more likely to be a bear than a lizard man. Roughly 2 weeks after the Davis sighting, the Sheriff's Department made several plaster casts of what appeared to be 3-toed footprints, measuring some 14 inches in length, but decided against sending them to the FBI for further analysis after biologists advised them that they were unclassifiable. According to South Carolina Marine Resource Development spokesperson Johnny Evans, the tracks neither matched nor could be mistaken for the footprints of any recorded animal. Evans also dismissed the possibility that they could have been made by some sort of mutated creature. The sightings attracted tourists interested in seeing the creature and hunters interested in tracking it. And the nearby radio station, WCOS, offered $1 million reward to anybody who could capture the creature alive. However, reports of the creature began to decline at the end of the summer, with the last credible sighting of that year being reported in July. On August 5th, Kenneth Orr, an airman stationed at Shaw Air Force Base, filed a report with the police saying that he had encountered a lizard man on Highway 15 and that he had shot and wounded it. He presented several scales and a small quantity of blood as evidence. Orr recanted his account 2 days later after he was arraigned for unlawfully carrying a pistol and the misdemeanor offense of filing a false police report. According to Orr, He had invented the sighting in order to keep stories about the lizard man in circulation. On July 30th, 1990, Bertha Blithers and her 5 children witnessed a strange creature near Scape Ore Swamp as they drove home from a restaurant in Bishopville. At approximately 10:30 at night, they crossed over the interstate and were nearly the intersection of Hickory Hill Road when suddenly a large figure appeared out of nowhere and lunged toward the passenger side of the car. In a statement given to Lee County Sheriff's Office, Bertha described the creature as being tall, wide, and having 2 arms like a human. She could only see it from the waist up, but there was no question that it was big. She was not able to make out any clear facial details in the short time it was in front of her, but she was quite sure that the body was covered in brown hair. "I've never seen anything like it before," she told the police. "It was not a deer nor a bear. It was definitely not a person either." So I covered some of this a couple days ago, but interestingly enough, we were actually had a segment of Davis speaking in regards to his encounter. What is messed up to me is Kenneth Orr. He's an airman stationed in the Air Force. He has a pistol. I'm not sure about the laws of South Carolina being able to open carry, conceal carry, or what, but in my mind and in just my ideals, he's in the service. If he's carrying a pistol, it should not be unlawful for carrying a pistol. And then creating a false police report. Well, to me, this sounds like Bishopville or the sheriff, whoever the hell, Truesdale, is trying to cover it up. And he's being a little punk about it. I completely disagree with these charges. I think they were dropped after he made the statement that he filed a false police report and this and that. But that again, that shows that this is a cover-up, and someone in Bishopsville, Truesdale probably, is lying, and it's probably his kid or something, who knows. But anyway, just kidding. The Blithers report is interesting because so many people have stated that the Dogman has a 3-toed print. I've heard many reports. I've heard many different reports. I mean, we all have. But this is the only account that she says, or we have heard, that it was covered in brown hair. Had glowing red eyes, similar to... So, did she see a Dogman? Was this a mistaken identity for a Dogman? On all of these accounts? Honestly, who knows? But I'm kind of put off a little bit by the Blithers one, because I don't know too many reptilians that have hair. I mean, I've got a snake, and she doesn't have hair. So, I don't know. But, let's leave it up to you guys to make up your mind. Today's third encounter. Alright, this happened to me over many years, from 7 or 9 years of age till I was 18, and in 3 different places. So a little bit more about myself. I believe in the supernatural, paranormal, and other things. I love horror movies at any age, thanks to my mom, but rarely get scared. My maternal great-grandma believes that our family has this sense, a sense that we can more easily sense spirits. To her, it's something to do with our Native American ancestry. So, the first time I saw a pair of red eyes, when I was about 7 or 9, I can't really remember the age at the time. Anyway, we lived out in the plains about 10 miles from the nearest town. So, we were out in the middle of nowhere. It was a Monday night, because on Mondays my family would go shopping to the weekly grocery. On those nights, I loved to stay home and watch movies or just TV. So one night I was watching something on TV, and there was something that made me look out the window. It was dark, very dark out there. When I looked out, I saw what looked like eyes, red eyes, just staring at me. I started looking for anything that could explain it, but saw nothing, and looking back out the window, it was gone, and I had chills running down my spine. I went outside with my stepfather's 9mm to see if I could find anything. There was nothing out there. But what happened that night did scare me for some reason. It's like I had a feeling that something there was still there. So the next few weeks, I would try not to look out the window at night, or even go outside for anything. So now I'm in my early teens, about 12 to 13 years old, and we live in a small townhouse. It had 2 floors, and my room was on the second floor with a window facing an empty field. And at night there were some lights, but not too many. Anyway, my room has nothing that has lights on, so it's pretty dark. Well, I was trying to fall asleep, but like before, something made me look out the window. Again, I did. Those eyes were there again. The last time, I couldn't tell if I could see a body or not, but this time I could. I saw no body, just red eyes. I sat on my bed, just staring at it. I'm guessing for a few minutes. I look away and look around my room for anything that was on or had a light on it. By the way, my door was closed. It only took me a minute or two before I looked back out the window, and it was gone. I remember I'm on the upstairs, top floor, and we had a 6-foot hill in front of the house as well. So I tell my mom about it this time. I try to explain it, and the fact that I saw it before and the feeling I had both times. What I saw was like eyes in shape or something. It was blood red in color, maybe darker than that. It was solid color, but it does get darker toward the edges. So now I'm 18, and we move again to a bigger house just outside the city. My family was out of state to visit my uncle, and since I love staying home by myself, I told them I'd stay and watch over the house. They were gone for a week or two, and I enjoyed it a lot. But a few days after they left, it happened again, but this time it was different from the other times. See, we have dogs. My whole life we had dogs. The other 2 times, the dogs did not bark or anything. At first, because the dogs were in the back and about 500 feet or so from the house, and I had seen it in the front house. The second time, because our dogs were sleeping out in the back as well. As I was watching TV, all 4 of our dogs started barking and going crazy. The thing is, we had 2 big dogs outside and 2 small dogs inside. The 2 small dogs were upstairs sleeping in my brother's room. They fly down the stairs before anyone starts barking, as the big ones were barking and trying to get in. So before my neighbors called the police on me, I went and let them in. They were barking toward the back fence, and then at the door, like they wanted in. So after I let them in, I put them in the basement, which they all went quiet. I started walking through the house, checking the windows and the doors to make sure they were locked. When I walked through the dining room, where the back sliding door is, I look out the door, and there it was again. This time I could see the outline of the body, but no features, no facial features, just a dark mass. It looked to be 6 feet tall, but I'm not sure. I remember in the past, if I look away, then they will disappear, and I wanted to see if it would do that. So I just stand there staring at it for about 5 minutes. Then I slowly move toward my computer desk where I hid the shotgun. When I'm home alone, I'll take it out just in case. But after a while, the dogs started barking again, which I turned my head to look toward the basement door. But I turned back within a second or two, and it was gone, just disappeared, and the dogs stopped barking as well. Even being older, I still felt that odd feeling like something was watching me before, during, and after. It was the same feeling each time I saw it, and even some nights I will just get the feeling. Now I'm 32 and some time has passed. I haven't seen it again, It's like it stopped following me, or it still is following me. And to this day, I still can't fully explain what or who it was. But I told this friend who was wondering if it was still following me. So that's why I wanted to share this. The thing is I'm the only one who saw it out of my family. No one else has. Today's final encounter. I was camping with the Royal Canadian Sea Cadets in Quebec, Canada. I don't remember where exactly for the city it was 13 years ago, when I was 12 years old. I went camping in a tent alone because there were too many people in the other tents. Here I was sleeping in an army tent, alone with the roof not even connected to the floor, which creates open space to the outside. It was summer morning, around 6 in the morning. I felt this terrible cold through my sleeping bag for a minute before opening my eyes, and what I saw was, first things first, I realized I was outside in broad daylight, and in front of me was standing a huge black thing 6 to 7 feet away. It was standing an impressive 1.5 meters. I don't remember if it was 2 or 4 legs. This encounter lasted less than 5 seconds because I thought I was dreaming. I closed my eyes, ignoring completely the red flag, and fell back to sleep, to waking up a few hours later at the same spot, but the black thing was gone. Now, to be sure I wasn't dreaming, I finally woke up and looked around me to see that I've been dragged out of my tent a few feet away. I crawled back into the tent and fell asleep for the last time. I asked the person that was in the same tent that acted as a watcher because of my bad attitude as me if he noticed that I was gone. He replied that he pushed me to the side of the tent, but nothing else. After hearing this, it confirmed to me that these things might actually exist for real, and I've been dragged out of the tent for some reason. I don't have any sleeping problems. Also, there is my first story, up to you to believe me or not. Strangely, I didn't notice any kind of cuts or slashes on my body. My second encounter, after doing a ton of research after my first encounter 8 years ago, prior to the first encounter, I went to the slope in the park Mount Royal in Montreal, watching the sundown while chugging, drinking a half a bottle without pause, down a liter of 15% wine. I was sure there was a Dogman in this park, so, like a drunk idiot, I started howling, waiting for a response, but nothing. I stayed for a few hours on the slope, waiting for night. I left by taking another trail from the one that I came from by arriving, resulting in me getting lost in the freaking cemetery in the middle of the night. I kept walking in complete darkness for at least a half an hour. I was now able to see a few meters in front of me, allowing me to walk to the road. I panicked, cried because I was drunk, and started running after seeing many tombstones everywhere. I just wanted to get out of there. 15 minutes later, I was finally out of the hellhole, just to be welcomed in a park by 2 red glowing eyes. I fixed these eyes for a good 20 seconds before hearing a "hey." I panicked and took a sprint, still looking at these 2 red eyes glowing, going twice, even thrice faster than me. I don't think it was a car because the way these lights were moving was not car-like. They finally disappeared in the darkness, very far away from me. Taking my breath while making sure no one was there, I started howling again. I waited again, and there was a friggin' response. I made the worst decision to ignore the howl, and I took a quick dip in the artificial lake, losing my shoes, socks, and keys, leaving me without anything to cover my feet. Don't ask me how I managed to walk without them. I blacked out. When I'm drunk, I'm not myself, to say the least. I knew that because I reacted to every step I did on Google Map and came to this conclusion. I knew where I started and tried to remember everything. So the last encounter was written, obviously, by a French-Canadian. They pretty much got the gist across, even though English is their second language, but pretty much something they saw a dogman when they were a kid. It kind of dragged them out of the tent when they were sleeping. The next encounter, they saw these two glowing red eyes, and they started running, and it chased them, disappeared, and then he made a howl, or they made a howl, and it howled back. Pretty interesting encounter. The red eyes and the howl is pretty much the only thing telling me Dogman. Other than that, I don't suggest getting drunk in a cemetery on 15% wine and acting like a dogman, because that's pretty stupid. But who knows? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's upload. I am probably going to do a historic early encounters reported in the news tonight. So with that, I'm going to bid you farewell and get that ready, going, and hopefully out within the next couple hours. So, by the way, I'm feeling a ton better. And I want to send a shout out to my friend Janice. Janice, thank you for sending me the soup from Harry and David. I really appreciate it. Have a great night, guys. See ya.